All right, everybody. Welcome to the Below the O-Line Podcast, Episode 9. I'm your host, Velocity. Follow me on Twitter at 87Velocity, or follow me on Instagram at Velocity87_, or follow us on Twitter at WR Media Group. We're joined today by the usual two others, Justin and Joseph, and we're here today with other World Racing Media member, host of Planet F1 at CAL 41. How y'all doing today?
Doing good. Great to be on.
All right, and just for a little precaution, if you hear that noise, that's my dog, so don't worry about that. And if you hear doors open, stuff, because my buddy is here, so if you see like people in, like that's his bag right there, so don't worry about all that. So if you hear like background noise, that's what it should be. So just want to get that.
Yeah, just try not to steal his clothes.
Well then.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's get started.
2 IndyCar races, Pocono, a tricky triangle of 3 different corners. Rusty Wallace getting his win number tied by Rowdy Kyle Busch. Yeah, what a weekend. Oh, and the last lap passing the Xfinity race. That's on the table, is it? Let's talk about Michigan. We got Michigan this weekend, but we have to go back to Pocono to get started on this one.
We haven't even given a recap about the race weekend. Now, off from this. I didn't know we had an off weekend. Well, considering how bad the race was at Pocono, I mean, you might as well call it an off weekend.
Yeah. Just cars going around triangles.
Not circles, so you can't use the stereotype. All right, let's get serious. Let's talk about Pocono.
Wow. What an Xfinity race that was. We saw the Cole Custer Tyler Reddick show, and Christopher Bell almost pulling a Danny Sullivan there at the end, but finishing 5th on that one. And Tyler Reddick's massive blocks got him at the last turn. He was so close. He stumbled in turn 3, which originally I thought it was a cut tire because he hit the wall in turn 1. But yeah, give it for Cole Custer. Led 58 laps in the race, gaining his third win of the season, and I think his 5th win in his career.
Yeah, it's 5th in his career.
Yes, 5th in his career.
He's won more races this season than he has in his previous 2 combined.
Yes, and great run for his teammate Chase Briscoe, finishing 3rd.
Yeah,
Ryan Preece did a spin and somehow came back to finish 4th in that. What about some underdogs? Colleague Racing 9th and 10th.
Yeah.
Brandon Brown 13th. Josh
Shout
Williams.
out to Brandon Brown. That team is on a roll.
Yeah.
Team's doing good.
I really think Brandon Brown, is just surprising everyone this year.
Yeah.
Top 15 in points, so.
Yeah.
That is solid. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Also, we didn't expect to see cars in the corners, remember? Turn 1, we have Brandon first hand. Spin off turn 1. We've seen a big crash off turn number 2. I didn't expect to see, like, the back markers crash at the back. Off turn 2.
Oh, you want to talk about crashes? Brandon Jones, useless!
Well,
Finally lost.
hey, qualified up front. To be fair, he did have a good starting spot. His 38th place finish happened with a 7th place start and a 6-lap race.
Well,
Brandon Jones, he's only 23 points above the cut line. I want Ross Chastain to beat him in the playoffs so bad. You have no idea.
But that helped Ross Chastain.
I know.
Ross
Keep doing
got-
what you're doing, Brandon Jones, please.
but Chad Bencham crashed too. He also-
Yeah, there was a pretty big wreck.
Yeah. But
Well, it looked like a big wreck. There was only 2 cars in it.
But I didn't expect to see people in the back crash, like you saw Hayes, 42, Bencham, had a couple of cars off turn 2 left.
Yeah, Justin, I heard you a teeny bit there. Your mic's a little up and down, but
Yes.
both of Carl Long's machines were in the
Yep.
rec.
Yep.
Chad Fincham and Joey Gaze.
Joe Guns.
Well, let's see what else we have here.
Allgaier was close.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier had a good late charge, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And he stumbled actually. Like he had a good car towards the end of the last cycle of pit stops, and then Custer got to him.
But then at the end, remember the restart? He hit Crease and he spun out. Mike Jr. came out of nowhere and nailed him in the 07 car. Yeah.
So let me give you a rundown on the results. I just got to get them right here. Just give me a second. I'm getting them on the Twitter account. I can easily go to the NASCAR. Why would I do that? I'm using my own product. Here we go. So the top 10 results. Cole Custer got his third win of the season. Tyler Reddick with his 9th straight top 5. Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, Christopher Bell round out the top 5. Ryan Preece and Christopher Bell coming from late race issues. I think Preece even went a lot down at one point, so good for him. Bell obviously spun, I believe, either in stage 1 or stage 2. I don't remember which one. And then Noah Gragson, Austin Cindric, Michael Annett, Justin Haley, and Austin Dillon right out the top 10.
Yeah, we did see Noah Gragson come along. Started 15th, was not a good handling car, but he managed to make it up to 6th place. And Austin Cindric, who had another good qualifying run of 3rd, he fell to the back a little early in the race. We didn't see much of him, but rallied back to a 7th place finish. So that's not bad on his part either. What should we expect going into Michigan for the next race?
Which package are they using for Xfinity?
I don't know. Check the labels.
Well, it depends. If they're using the package similar to what they did last year, well, I feel like either way it's going to be the same thing. If they use the package they used last year, closer racing. But in terms of like everyone who's going to be up front, it's more or less going to be the same thing. Here's the thing. I want to say something about Michigan package, but I'll save that for when we get into the Cup Series. So,
wow.
just look them up.
Reddick has a 77 points.
NCO, what did you think about the Pocono race, if you watched?
I mean, I watched the first 2 stages. I had to go after the next few, but it's kind of funny that people, after Tyler Reddick won the championship due to the chase format, they're talking about how deserving he was, how bad he was. But now look at him. He's performing amazingly.
Oh,
A championship contender with all these wins and all that.
oh yeah.
Just, I can see him winning.
Yeah.
I mean, even Armani, go on.
I'll say this. In terms of I'll say this season doesn't justify his championship last year, but I will say this. To anyone who said that he sucks, he's proven them dead wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I agree, Armani. And back to what NCAL was talking about, our guest, he mentioned that Tyler Reddick is not less of a driver because of how he won the championship last year. But it was unfair the way it was to many people and critics. However, I think Reddick is doing 10 times better than he had last year, where he somehow got that championship. And maybe he's proven a lot more drivers and team owners wrong here. And I think the critics are silenced.
Here's the thing about Tyler Reddick. I think out of everyone in the Xfinity field, out of the true young guys in the Xfinity field, I feel like he's at the moment the only one that I feel confident enough that if he were getting a Cup car, he could probably win a race in his rookie year.
Did you not see his Kansas race? My gosh.
That's the reason. And look at the Daytona 500. He was running top 15 more or less the entire day before he had his injury. It has to do a lot more of just him getting experience. I mean, who knows? If Christopher Bell gets in there, he might do the same thing. But we haven't seen Christopher Bell in the Cup car. That's why I'm not jumping on to get the Christopher Bell.
Right. It takes time, man.
I'd have to see what Christopher Bell can do in a Cup car, and depending on what Cup car it is. If he's like in a backmarker Toyota, then it's like, yeah, you can't really judge off that. But if he's like maybe another Levine family racing, then depends. We'll see.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are skeptical about Christopher Bell, but just knowing how incredible he's been in the Xfinity series already, and just the amount of wins he has, and that this is only considered his second season. The last year was considered his rookie year. There's a lot left in him. But does that mean he has to join Joe Gibbs Racing in the Cup Series? Absolutely not. I think there's more options for him than just JGR. Although they would have him be an asset to their team, there's a lot other options I think that Bell could go with. My first initial idea is for a guy like him is Chip Ganassi Racing. There's high hopes for a guy like him if Kyle Larson's leading the team, who's a dirt track legend at this point, and bring in your dirt track foe, and they might just collaborate in a good 3-car team with Kurt Busch, a veteran former Cup Series champion. What do you say, Justin?
I don't know. For some reason, they say he's going to be in the 59. He's going to replace Eric Jones. He's going to take over the 20, and replace Eric Jones.
Hey, repeat that one more time.
People think that Eric Jones is going to get replaced. I've been hearing that for the past month.
Yeah, and about that, I wanted to mention Eric Jones is completely great of a driver. There's nothing less about him. If you look at his third-place finish at Pocono, he was driving just pretty terrific. And the Byron, Michigan native has 18 top 5s and 38 top 10s with his 1 win in the Cup Series total and 2 poles. He's led 454 laps. I don't see any reason why Eric Jones needs to leave Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, on the other hand, his teammate, Kyle Busch, is by far the lead driver of the 4-car squad. Remember when he joined a 4-car squad with other lead drivers in the start of his career? Yeah, I'm talking about Hendrick Motorsports, when he had Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson ruling the team. In the first 3 years of Grotti's career, he wasn't, he wasn't on the spotlight, if you know what I mean. And until he joined Joe Gibbs Racing, he even blew Tony Stewart out of the ballpark in his first year with 8 wins. Now, Eric Jones has that same kind of potential. In fact, Kyle found him. That's why he's with Joe Gibbs Racing. But in present day 2019, could there be another option for him? Kind of like where Kyle Busch is. Think about Eric Jones. He's not the lead driver in the team. When he joins Joe Gibbs Racing, there's already Kyle Busch. There's already Denny Hamlin up here. And then around here, of course, at the time, you had Suarez. Now you have Truex, who's up here. And then you have Eric Jones, who's around here. Maybe not on the top like here, if my hand gestures make any sense. But is Joe Gibbs Racing really the only option for Eric Jones?
I don't know. I don't know about Levine if they're going to get something far. No tours.
Sorry.
So I don't know if it's going to be a 59 car or not.
I'd say in the mere meantime, Eric Jones belongs at Joe Gibbs Racing by far.
Yeah.
Axel, you want to give your opinion?
I mean, Eric Jones, he's in a pretty vulnerable spot because Hamlin has 2 wins from Texas and Daytona. Busch is probably the best driver in the field right now. And Martin Truex is off 3 wins in the last 4 races. Or 5, excuse me. I feel like Jones is probably going to get replaced if Christopher Bell is going to be in this ride next year.
Here's my take on it. And like most of my takes, it's probably harsh. But here's my opinion. People are only picking on Eric Jones because they can't pick on Denny Hamlin anymore. Let me explain. Like Kyle Petty says, listen, I'm going to tell you something. The entire offseason, everyone was like, oh, Denny Hamlin's going to get replaced. Denny Hamlin's going to get replaced. And when people mention Eric Jones, they're like, no, Eric Jones is only in the second full-time season with Gibbs. Eric Jones is even better than Denny Hamlin right now. The second Denny Hamlin won Daytona, I was on Twitter for this. They said all of, like, all the people who want Christopher Bell to get into the Cup Series, they were like, so Eric Jones is getting replaced now, and they just kept going with it ever since. Now, granted, Eric Jones has not been to that great of a start this season. I think like half of the season he's been outside the playoffs. So Eric Jones has some work to do. If Eric Jones misses the playoffs, then yeah, I can see him getting replaced by Bell. But
I mean, he's outside the cut line right now.
No, now I think he's like 15th in the
He's
standings.
17th.
No, 17th to Jimmy Johnson.
Johnson's 17.
Yeah, he's Tyler Larson.
Johnson's 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like Eric Jones is probably going to stay at JGR. He's not pulling Daniel Suarez stats where he's barely in the top 10 at all. No, he's got top 10s, he's got top 5s to his credit. So, most of the people who are saying this stuff about Eric Jones, they were saying the exact same thing about Denny Hamlin before the offseason. I guarantee you, if Denny Hamlin didn't win Texas and didn't win Daytona, they'd be talking about Denny Hamlin right now and not Eric Jones. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, and about Denny Hamlin, like we've seen up and down stats. However, this year, I mean, compared to last year, I don't see anything wrong with Denny Hamlin even last year. He had 10 top 5s and 17 top 10s. And this year, only 14 races in. The Chesterfield, Virginia native has 2 wins, 6 top 5s, and 9 top 10s within 14 races. And he's already led more than 1/3 of the laps he's led last year. He's leading so far a total of 119 laps in 2019. Well, in 2018, he's led a total of 380 laps. And if you look at the season 2 seasons ago from this year, 710.
Denny Hamlin, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't really leading that many laps this year to begin with. But his month of May was just horrible. I don't think he had one finish inside the top 15 in the month of May. So I don't know what happened really after Talladega. After Talladega, he kind of just fell off. But he picked it back up Pocono. Pocono's one of his better tracks, so of course. But he got out of a slump during the month of May. But it seems that the team is starting to work its way around it.
I mean, Pocono's one of his stronger tracks. He started and finished in 6th, so
yeah,
that's a plus for Hamlin.
I think after Texas, he was second in the standings. After Charlotte, he was 7th, and now he's 6th.
6th.
Yep.
Let's go back to the Xfinity series. What are your guys' takes on? I said this a couple episodes ago. I wasn't really sold on the Big 3 idea just because of last year. I've said this so many times already, but last year there was no Big 3. It was a Big 2, if not Big 2.5 at best. Truex was at least a notch and a half down, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick.
Yeah.
So last year when they started saying that Cole Custer was part of the Big 3 after his win at Richmond, I was like, okay, maybe not. Reddick and Bell are by far ahead of him. After his win at Pocono, I think it's fair to say that, yeah, there is a Big 3.
Yeah.
Storyline, I hate it. I hate the idea of the Big 3, but at least it's natural. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this one is a natural Big 3. Usually, I don't like mentioning Big 3s, especially I mean, listen, we've seen this in F1 in the past. The Big 3, we have, of course, Vettel, Hamilton, and Verstappen, and then now it's pretty much the Big 2 of Hamilton and Bottas. But we'll get into Formula 1 a little bit later. We gotta stay to NASCAR for now.
Yeah.
SAO, what do you think about the Big 3?
I think
It's just
a
a marketing.
It's a safe bet, and it's a marketing ploy as well. Like,
Yeah.
trying to get on, but they're all just having really good seasons. And if one of them don't make into the championship 4, I found that really surprising because they're having some of their most consistent seasons yet. With Reddick, Custer, and Bell, they're picking up tons of wins right now. I could see them picking up a lot more before the playoffs even begin.
You can market the Big 3, a boxing match, but you also you can market the chase the exact same way. Here's the Big 12.
You know what? You know who's fourth in points? Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric's winning the championship.
I mean, he almost won the truck championship, to be fair.
And Joey Logano won the championship with the Big Three.
So much for talking about the Big Three, yet Joey Logano wins the championship.
But that's a discussion for another day.
We'll probably get back into this topic. I think like 5 or 6 months later from now when we get to home.
Yeah.
So always a hot topic.
So you guys got anything else you want to say about Pocono for the Xfinity before we move on to the Cup race?
I'm just looking. So Reddick's leading points. Bell, Custer, Cindric, Allgaier. Ryan Sieg.
Cindric, Allgaier. Who's that? Ryan Sieg.
Ryan Sieg's still 11 in this
The
game.
top 10 in points right now: Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell -77, Cole Custer -99, Cindric -117, Allgaier -133 is your top 5. Then in 6 is Briscoe -162, Nemechek -184, Gregson -191, Michael Annett -205, and Justin Haley -211. That's your top 10 in points.
Yeah.
I'm going off. I don't know how many points 11 to 12 are. I just know that Ryan Sieg and useless.
Useless.
He has a name.
Garrett Smithley is
And
more
he's useless.
Garrett Smithley's more useless.
Come on, we got to be a little fair. At least Brandon Jones can qualify the car. I mean,
but you can't finish the race.
Have you not seen Pierre Gasly qualify in F1 this year?
Oh my.
At least Pierre Gasly's at least in the top 6 now.
There's really only 3 top teams in F1.
Yeah, that's
To be
true.
fair,
He's the last of them. Granted, he's the last of them.
See, now you're getting me hyped to talk about F1.
Well,
F1's for.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah, because we're about to go north of the border in Montreal this weekend, and
We'll
that's where.
talk about it later. Hold on. Before we go off the Pocono, I want to give off the playoff group. This what I gave was just the point standings. So locked in is Reddick, Bell, Coleslaw, and Michael Annett.
Coleslaw. You snuck that one in real good, brother.
And for points, Cindric is 158 above the cut line. Reddick is 142. Not Reddick. Allgaier is 142 above the cut line. And Chase Briscoe is the last person that's plus 100 above the cut line at 113. Then Nemechek is plus 91. Gregson plus 84. Haley plus 64. Ryan Sieg plus 23. And Brandon Jones plus 23. This is my final Brandon Jones rant. I swear for the rest of the video. You're in JD Ricard. Yeah, hopefully. You're in JD Ricard, and you're last in the playoff standings, and you're less than half a race ahead. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to
You
say.
just better hope to make it up when we go to Michigan this weekend.
Well,
And I'll give the cutoff for 13th or 16th, because these are the guys that I feel like has a semi-realistic chance of making it in. The guy who's 13th probably has the most realistic chance of making it in. I hope he makes it in. Ross Chastain, -23. Greg Golding, -73. Brandon Brown, -75. And Jeremy Clements, -120. If any of them this is an easy question. If any of them had a chance of making the playoffs, who do you think is the best shot? It's a fairly easy question.
For me, it's Chastain because,
Yeah.
the 08 Golding only got a second place.
Okay, to be fair, Ross Chastain, sorry to interrupt you, bud, but to be fair, Ross Chastain is the guy that's working twice as hard compared to probably anyone else in the paddock.
Times as hard. He's been running all 3 series races this entire season.
Yeah, he's on a mission. This guy was supposed to drive for Chip Ganassi Racing before, the FBI raided his sponsor, DC Solar, and that didn't last too long, did it? So now he's back to square one, which is JD Motorsports. And I mean, listen, there's got to be something for him out there, and he's going to work twice as hard, like I mentioned. NCAL, do you have any say on that?
Chastain's just been working a ton this year. I mean, not only has he been performing good in his main series, the Xfinity series, he's been doing pretty good, at least with the equipment he has in the Cup series with Premium and in the Truck series. He almost won I think it was Las Vegas. I can't remember which one, but he was leading for a lot of it. And I believe I'm not sure why a team wouldn't give him a ride. Probably because he doesn't have any money, but I mean, we'll just have to see where this goes next year.
I mean, listen, he did that Kansas win wasn't on accident either. Yeah, you can say Stuart Friesen ran out of fuel at the end, but what happened was Ross was in a good position to win it. You know, it wasn't like this was crazy fuel mileage and John West Townley limping to the finish line at Las Vegas in 2015, but this was like serious stuff. And East Motorsports, and they have an alliance with
GMS.
Yeah, GMS Racing, which is the Gallagher team. And that's only going to equal fast trucks, good Chevy engines, and top 10 finishes. I'm so impressive with them. I can't wait to see Kyle Benjamin drive that 45 truck this weekend.
All right, so I think that's it for Pocono Xfinity. So let's move on to the Cup Pocono race. And I said it on the first edition of the Weekend Hangover, which I posted yesterday after the race. But, that race was a snooze fest, to say the least.
I mean, it was and wasn't. I think a lot of people were disappointed. Like, just the quality of the racing was pretty lackluster. There was not too much passing going on. However, the lead changed kind of frequently in Pocono standards, since they moved to 400-mile races. I forget what year that was, but we had 13 lead changes, which actually isn't pretty bad. But the clean air really ruled this event in one way, if not another. And Kyle Busch got his third win in his career at this track. And wasn't he 0 for 12 or something like that?
0 for 25.
0 for 25. I was gonna say it. I watched your video last night, but my brain doesn't do math. And yeah, Kyle's now won 3 Pocono events in 3 different seasons.
Yeah, this is crazy to think how far along Kyle Busch. Like, literally, it's like, okay, pre-2017. Kyle Busch at Pocono, don't even think about it. Post-2017, oh yeah, Kyle Busch is one of the favorites for Pocono. Who would have thought?
And not to mention that his 2017 season was just, I felt like there was a glass ceiling preventing him from winning in the start of that year. Kind of like what we see with Kevin Harvick today. And then he hit Pocono and did at the time the unthinkable and won there. Kyle has 4 wins now in 2019. And he's 34 years old. You got to remind yourself, he's been racing since 2005, and he's only 34. He won at Phoenix, won at Fontana, won at Bristol, and now Pocono. All kinds of tracks you can imagine. He just hasn't won in a mile and a half yet. But I'm sure he'll get one pretty soon. We don't see a mile and a half. Not till
Chicago.
Not till Chicago. And remember what happened last year? Boy, that was a thriller.
A lot of Kyle Larson.
Slap job.
I was really mad after that race.
Yeah, if you guys have not watched Justin's video of the 2018 Overton's 400 reactions, that will explain how pissed he was.
Yeah.
Here's the question. Was it worse than my 2019 Daytona 500 reaction?
No, that's up for debate.
Because we know my opinion, but it's been said countless times.
But this isn't debate class. This is a podcast.
I'm willing to bet money on which reaction was better. Mainly because my reaction was actually money on the line.
Don't beat around the bush, kid. I know exactly where you're going.
All right, so, but back to the Pocono and the we'll talk about the quality of Pocono. So, I think there was only one green flag pass for the lead. That's no bueno. Even for Pocono, it's no bueno. And yeah, the strategy makes it interesting. I said it on Twitter. Pocono is one of those tracks where you got to bring an IndyCar F1 mentality. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. I said it on my episode yesterday where to have, like, it's good to have multiple parts to a race. You know, the side-by-side close racing, the passing, the strategy, the moments, all of that will make a good race. If you're having just side-by-side action but no strategy, no nothing really, at the end of the day, is really a good race. That's what I said. Pocono had strategy. That's about it. Most of the time, the strategy was just, it didn't really do anything because you couldn't pass anybody to begin with. I mean, they were so spread out. It looked like the Texas race of 2017, the fall Texas race of 2017. It was just god awful.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, buddy. But this is Pocono, and these are stock cars. This is not the Pocono 500 you see in August here. There's flat corners, 3 different flat corners. It's a damn triangle. It's 2.5 miles. And before my brain blanks out here, this is not supposed to be Talladega. NASCAR fans, and I say the perception of NASCAR fans, have this expectation that each race, in order to be considered good, has to have crashes, big crashes that you could put on compilation videos and get views with.
Oh, I truly don't.
Have you watched all these compilation videos? I know it's off topic, but they always show the same wrecks. And all I've seen is Kyle Larson's flip at Talladega.
I would
show a
say
practice
something.
crash.
I would say something, but I be hypocritical, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
Hey, criticism? I mean, that's what we're talking about right now. But
yeah, that's the one. Look, one of the things I hate the most is when the marketing, majority of the marketing, I'm using my term, where majority of the marketing for a race is wrecks. If it's Daytona or Talladega, okay, you expect that. But Pocono, NASCAR Fox, they had like 5 ads on their Instagram for Pocono. All 5 of them were crashes. And it just pisses me off. It's like, come on, you can't talk about anything else but just the
what
crash.
about passes? What about passing? What about nice pass with 10 to go?
Here's the thing. Are we talking about a race or are we talking about a demolition derby?
I know we're going. I was about to say something about NASCAR fans and their perception of what is and what isn't a good race, especially in today's standards. But
like, if you want to please, I hate saying this word, but if you want to please a casual fan like an outsider who doesn't really watch the sport, then advertising a wreck isn't fairly uncommon to see because, like, wrecks is a big part of racing and fairly advertisable. They don't really want to see, like, a pass or something like that they don't know the significance of.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But that's pretty true. Because, like, if they see just a pass, and it's like, okay. But if they see a wreck, they'll be like, okay. Like,
yes.
It's a spectacle.
I like your analogy there.
My problem with that is when it takes up majority of the marketing. Then you just make it seem like NASCAR is mainly for wrecking. It's like, come on. It just tarnishes the sport or series.
It doesn't help when you have races like the 2018 Daytona race last year or the truck race that happened at Daytona this year with a bunch of wrecks.
Oh, yeah.
And yet people found that. Sorry to interrupt you, but people found that truck race at Daytona this year to be very entertaining and probably the best race weekend of Speed Weeks. Yet the Xfinity race was clean, a little lackluster, but it was. And then people are like literally falling apart on social media because that's all they've been doing. They were clean almost the whole race.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
Well, here's what. If you want a good race, you need passing. Not close. Here's a lot of people think that good racing is if the cars are slow or closer and side by side. Okay, they're closer. They're a couple seconds closer. They're side by side. This is the one thing about the Richmond race, which actually Drunken Brian Ferentz on Twitter, shout out to him, by the way, great guy on Twitter. He said this about the Richmond race, and I completely understand what he's saying. When they say, like, oh, the Richmond race, 4 guys finish under a second. everyone's like, okay, that was a great race. Look at that finish. He said it was not a good finish. It was a bad finish. Why? Because you know that they weren't going to get by each other. Yeah, it may look appeasing to the eyes, but if you know that they're not going to get by each other, at least in time, or like they're not going to get by each other because how difficult it is to pass, like what's the point? You might as well be 2 seconds. It doesn't matter if you're 5/10 back, 2/10 back, 2 seconds back. If you can't pass, then what's the point?
Yeah, I agree with that. But whatever happened to growing a lead, maintaining your pace, pit stops, that's the aspect of racing I like. Well, that's because I've been a NASCAR fan since I was a little kid. That's just something. I'm just trying to get my head straight here. Yeah, I think I got my bolts screwed in. That's something I like. Is that something the whole world outside of racing likes? No.
Well, here's what Oh, sorry.
No, go on, Armani.
No, continue.
But to finish my analogy here, there's too much love for destruction that determines a race being good or bad. I want to see the fine line, but the fine line is never fine. Back to you, Armani.
I'm going to say a couple things. Number one, here's my opinion on what a good race is. You have passing, number one. You have strategy, at least be a factor. And you have some sort of event. Like whatever event, whether it be a tire going down, whether it be a wreck, it doesn't matter. You have an event. So it gives that race some sort of identity. Like the Chicagoland race, it has that identity now because of the last lap with Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. And it was a good race. You had passing. Strategy wasn't really a factor, which is like that's my criticism of a lot of NASCAR races, that strategy isn't played that much better. Yeah, you need that passing. You need to have a good amount of passing. Because like I said, if you're close, it doesn't matter if you're 2/10 or 2 seconds. If you can't get by the guy, what's the point? It's that piece it to the eyes. You need to have passing, decent amount of passing. You need to have strategy play a factor into the race. And you need to have some sort of event. That's why I thought the Detroit race in IndyCar, when we get to that, that's why I thought the Detroit race, the second race in IndyCar, was good. Because you had passing, you could actually pass until Scott Dixon got the lead. you got passing, you had strategy play a factor, and you had an event. And in the Detroit race, two of those, the strategy and the event, they went hand in hand for the biggest.
I mean, we saw cars pitting on different strategies. There were a lot of diverse mechanisms to win the race. If that makes any sense. Trying to use some skilled grammar here, but Scott Dixon only led 44 laps. I mean,
44 out of 70.
44 out of 70. That is, I don't. That's more than Santino Ferrucci.
Well, at least he led. Brandon,
Yeah.
At least he finished the race. He was already out in those two cars.
Yeah, and that was a race won about Joseph Newgarden, who led 25 of 43 laps because race one was timed because of the weather.
Oh,
which, the other laps that were led, there were only 2 leaders. It was him with 25 laps left, Joseph Newgarden, the winner, and the Roger Penske number 2, and then the 27 for Michael Andretti. You had Alexander Rossi, who started on pole, lead 18 of the 43 laps in the race.
Yeah. Right. Also, about like the first race, the weather. There was so much rain, and you saw what happened with Marco Andretti. Like, remember he couldn't stay straight because he had slicks instead of rain tires, so he would slide off every corner, and he got lapped by the leaders. Like, he couldn't stay in a straight line. You saw how he's shifting, trying to keep himself straight on the straightaway.
Yeah. I want to mention on Ahmadi's just
Sorry, folks. I have to go do something real quick.
okay.
I mean, that's better.
But yeah, I'd say pit stops. You saw errors in the pits. It was kind of costly in certain ways, but at the same time, you had to make it into your box properly. If you slid through, you were more likely to be in some trouble. And looking at race one, we had 4 cautions for 14 laps, the amount of full course yellows we had, and then
We will go and talk about Detroit now.
yeah. Oh yeah, we've been talking about Detroit this whole time.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just started talking about Detroit just like as an analogy for Pocono. But hold on, let me just give you guys the point standings for the Pocono race because really not that much to talk about. So let me just give you the standings. In terms of points, hold on. Crap. So for the point standings, Kyle Busch is in the lead with Joey Logano -4, Chase Elliott -57, Brad Keselowski -59, Kevin Harvick -68, Denny Hamlin -103, Truex -116, Kurt Busch -131, Blaney -162, and Clint Bowyer -166. That's your top 10. Now for the playoff grid, those who are locked in: Kyle Busch, Logano, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Mark Truex Jr. And for points, Kevin Harvick is +158. He's the only driver that's +100. Kurt Busch is +95. Brian Blaney is +64. Clint Bowyer is +60. Alex Bowman is +53. Eric Almirola is +51. +26 is Daniel Suarez. 19.
This isn't Cars.
Oh,
Not
boy.
Cars 3.
Whoever gets that reference, yeah. William Byron +19, Eric Jones is +1, and Kyle Larson and Jimmy Johnson are tied. Kyle Larson's only ahead because of his stage wins. And let me give you the cutoff. I'm doing 17th through 22nd. Again, these are the guys I feel like has a realistic shot of making the playoffs. Johnson, he's 17th. He's tied, but because Larson has stage points, he's ahead of him. Ryan Newman -10, Paul Menard -32, Stenhouse -34, Austin Dillon -57, and Chris Buescher -60.
That sounds fair. Now, I just wanted to refer on Eric Jones. He's 17th now, but there's a lot of time for him to get back. Just look at where Alex Bowman is, dude.
Johnson, he's 15. Jones is 15.
15th. Johnson's 5th. He's 14th.
No, Johnson's 17. Johnson's 17. Jones is 15. Larson's 16. So yeah, Johnson's the one in 17. Jones is in 15. So Eric Jones is in. Johnson's out right now in 17. So yeah, Jones is in.
But I think there's more consistency he needs, though.
I don't know.
He needs more consistency. He only has a gap.
Yeah, he has to build up the points.
If anyone's getting out of the playoffs, Byron. But Byron's been more consistent.
I don't know about Byron. He's been quite consistent. Just has to start.
Byron needs top 5.
Yeah, like
make a top 5 pace. He has top 10 pace. He doesn't have top 5 pace. Or he does have top 5 pace, but he doesn't have the execution.
Yeah, like it's only second season in the Cup Series.
Oh yeah, I mean he's already got the same stats this season than he already had entire 2018. With more laps and a better average finish and a better average start.
Like also about Alex Bowman, he only got his 5 points. His average finish in the last 5 races is 5.6 in the last 5 races that we've completed. A 5.6 average is not bad.
Yep, second, 7th, 15th.
Yeah.
He would have got the top 10 if it wasn't for,
like
the end, I guess.
He pitted late.
Yeah, exactly. He probably would have got the top 10.
Yeah, he was split up at one point. He was 7th, 9th, about that. And then, yeah. Like, he had a good shot, but then we go to Michigan.
Let's go back to the Detroit race. We'll talk about Michigan when we are giving our reviews. Now back to our Detroit talk after I interrupted with the points.
What more to say? Point standings just keep changing. Faster than
Jones DNFs.
I
Hey, now
forgot.
that is my last word. It's Joe's talk. I swear on that one. What the hell?
I swear with you, bro. I swear.
Here's what you did. Okay, here's what you know about me. I like racing. I like racing. I'll talk politics on Twitter, and I hate Brandon Jones. That's really all you need to know.
Wait, I'm so confused here. The first race at Detroit was basically rain. We started the race. There's an hour 15 minutes, and we finished 43 laps completed. Out of this,
70. Yeah, it was a time race.
Yeah,
that's what I said. I mean, with the rain, it just became so predictable because, like, okay, it's a timed race, 75 minutes, so you know there's only going to be one stop. And on top of that, when they went on the slick tires, you knew that they weren't going to make that many passes because the only way you can pass, really, unless you're ballsy enough, like Takuma Sato was that day, is you got to go in the wet. But you couldn't do that because there wasn't that many grooves. So that's why I feel like if the race was dry, Rossi would have gotten past Newgarden.
Like, also about that, remember when there was so much rain that Marco Andretti had slicks instead? He was
really.
That was impressive to watch.
Yeah, he was sliding all over the track, and you saw how sideways he was going up the corners and into the corners. And that was really, I did not expect that.
That was nerve-wracking, but exciting to watch.
Yeah.
They were on a different strategy, and I guess they were on slick tires in wet weather, and you could tell slick tires do not fare well under those conditions whatsoever.
Hey, it made for good TV.
Good TV time, yeah. Especially for a driver whose 2019 season does not include much TV time except for the fact that he's an Andretti.
And also about that, like, at the end, Newgarden won race number 1 after starting second in that number 2 for Team Penske. And and also a lot of people were mad after what happened during the race, at the end of the race. With, like, a lot of fans, you know what happened at the end of the race if you watched what happened about NBC and
Oh, yeah.
That was not smart.
The race was timed. It wasn't like we were under a red flag with 5 to go.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, you're talking about when NBC's like image just come out.
With 13 minutes left, they put it on CNBC with 13 minutes left.
No, that was just stupid. It's like, okay, if you were so worried about time, if you were so worried about getting the race in, why would you take the finish, arguably the most important part of the race, off of the main network? If the whole point is that, then just make it like 50-something minutes then. IndyCar has always been bad when it comes to rain calls.
Also, there was there was news. That's why there was local news coming up.
It's still like that's more on IndyCar's fault than NBC's fault. Because like if IndyCar knew about, like, I'm pretty sure IndyCar and NBC, they talked about this beforehand. So if you're so worried about getting the race in on getting the race in for the fans, why don't you just make it like 50 minutes or something? That way you could still get the race in on Prime Network. It'd be more understandable than moving it to CNBC.
Yeah.
And speaking of NBC just failing, during race 2, there's like a still image of like text that said race 2 on it, and like a radio transmission sort of thing.
Yeah.
It happened in St. Petersburg too.
Yeah.
Race 2.
happened at Mid-Ohio for IMSA.
Yeah, it's like when I saw them, like really again, the same issue twice.
Technically, times because that happened. I think watching David Land's video on Detroit that it happened at the IMSA race too for Mid Ohio.
Oh.
This is the third time. So I don't know what's going on with NBC
Yeah.
with their problems there, but it seems like every race there's at least one issue.
Yeah, that's something.
At least none of them happened in the Indy 500.
Yeah.
That's true.
But maybe they became an extra prepared for that race.
Oh
Right.
yeah, no, if that happened during the Indy 500. It'd be like there'd be riots.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm being over exaggerated.
Possibly.
I'm looking at and yesterday in the second race, Newgarden started on the pole. I was not too happy when I don't know what happened to Rossi. I think he overdrove the corner. Hinchcliffe made contact, and then Hinchcliffe and Newgarden both were in the barriers. I don't know what happened.
This is what I talk about a good race. You have the pass. That's why I consider Detroit 2 a good race. You had the passing, you had the strategy, and you had an event in the race. And guess what? The event happened because of an attempted pass and because of strategy.
That is absolutely true. I'll give you props on that. Yeah. To be honest, it's entertaining. And I don't want to get into scheduling stuff, but I wouldn't mind seeing another oval or two on the schedule. I wouldn't mind seeing the return of a track like Michigan or Fontana, or even reopening the Nashville Superspeedway. I don't think anyone else has remembered that place, but I do.
I see why IndyCar stopped racing at Fontana because they had incidents and huge wrecks like 2 years in a row. They had Michaela Lotion going right into the fence off turn 4 in 2014, and then Ryan Briscoe digging right into the grass and flipping.
Yeah,
I think it might just be too fast.
Yeah, and the package carts were just too close. I remember 2015 race. I had a feeling something really bad was going to happen, if not already.
Yeah, I remember seeing the package. Like they couldn't go single file; they were side by side.
Listen, it's an ideal track, but you need a package where the cars can be a little more spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about this. I talked about this in terms of adding more tracks. I think IndyCar needs to expand the schedule. I think 17 races too short.
Make it 20.
Yeah, make it at least 19 or 20. But yeah, I said if we're talking about adding ovals, add one short track and one other track that's over a mile and a half, but make it like at Atlanta or Darlington or Fontana, where it's a track and known for chewing up the tires. Because I feel like IndyCar doesn't really have that anymore. Like they need a track where it's like tires are going to matter more than ever. Because that'll make the strategy even more.
Hey, Fontana is a pretty outdated pavement.
Exactly. Like Fontana, Atlanta, Homestead, Darlington. There's probably some others that I can't name off the top of my head right now.
You want to see an IndyCar race at Darlington?
Oh my.
IndyCar at Bristol? Question mark?
Oh.
No.
That's not gonna.
We'd have the big one every 2 laps.
Or
It wouldn't even be ideal.
Hey, remember in 2017 when Sebastian Bourdais wrecked on lap 1 through 1 at Phoenix?
Oh yeah, there was a big wreck at Phoenix that year.
On lap 1 in turn 1.
Mm-hmm. Too bad Phoenix is not on the schedule anymore. It would be interesting to see how they turn out on the new ISM layout.
And also, that was the first oval race before the ISM, like Phoenix and Wickens almost won.
Yeah, he had many close calls that year.
But Newgarden pitted 4 tires and won.
And experience.
Yeah.
Now thinking about it, IndyCar's just been slowing ovals off their schedule because they did it with Homestead, Fontana, Las Vegas, now ISM. They've been getting rid of a lot of tracks.
What about Milwaukee Mile? I would love to see them go back to Milwaukee.
Loudon. I forgot about
Loudon. They had a race at Loudon.
I mean, they just need to bring back some of the ovals. Like Loudon had pretty good racing from what I can recall.
pretty unique tracks that IndyCar had in its time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have one more track to mention. What about Kentucky? Make a return to Kentucky.
It'd probably be better than any NASCAR race at Kentucky. I could guarantee you that.
I think it was probably slated for the same reason that Fontana Auto Club Las Vegas were probably put off.
It was 2011 was last year at Kentucky.
Same with Las Vegas.
It was a 2-year return from 2010.
Let me give you guys the results for both races at Detroit.
I'm pretty sure the last time they went to Kentucky, Daryl Franchitti flipped after the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But that was just a freak accident.
Yeah, I guess he said he was not looking at the car ahead, looking at the flag stand. He didn't pay attention of the car in front of him. He was looking at the flag stand and not focusing on the car that was slow in front of him.
Sure. Hey, remember the very brief IndyCar appearance at Dover? The IRL went in 1998, 1999. The Dover Grand Prix.
I don't remember that, but that does not sound.
They were pretty lackluster events.
Well, it was.
I feel like they just be straight up wreckfest.
Well, it was Fox Sports aired it. Fox Sports. Yeah, Fox Sports aired it.
Yeah, pre-NASCAR Fox.
Yeah.
You had Tony Stewart win the pole, and then Buddy Lazier did not win the race. He finished second. My bad. It was Scott Sharp who won the race. Buddy Lazier finished second. And then Greg Gray won in 1999.
So let me give you the top 10 results for Detroit Race 1. So Joseph Newgarden obviously got the win. Alexander Rossi with the runner-up finish. Takuma Sato with his third podium of the year and his second back-to-back after the 500. Felix Rosenqvist with his career best finish of fourth. Ryan Hunter-Reay with running up the top 5. 8500 champion Simon Pagenaud finishes 6th. Graham Rahal 7th. Zach Veach 8th. James Hinchcliffe 9th. And running up the top 10, Spencer Pigot. That's for race 1. And let me just scroll up here to get race 2 results. The top 10 for race 2. Scott Dixon went from shotgun of the field, dead last in race 1 to the top step of the podium the next race. Talk about a turnaround. Scott Dixon with the win. Marcus Ericsson, career best, finished the second. Will Power with the second podium of the season in third, coming back from a gearbox issue. Ryan Hunter-Reay fourth. Alexander Rossi rounds out the top 5. Then Marco Andretti finishes 6th. Graham Rahal 7th. Zach Veach with another 8th. And the 2 Dale Coyne cars round out the top 10 with Sebastian Bourdais and the guy who led the second most laps in the race, Santino Ferrucci.
Unfortunately.
I don't know why.
He's improving, though.
I don't know why I'm becoming a Santino Ferrucci fan. I know about the controversy. I know what he did in F2 and Haas, and that's unacceptable. But he's fun to watch on track.
He's proving a lot of people wrong right now. So here's the point standings after the race number 2 at Detroit. So round 8 is done. Joseph Newgarden, the former champion from 2017, is leading points, 15 over Alexander Rossi. 2016 champion Simon Pagenaud is third with 25 points back, while the 5-time champion Scott Dixon for Chip Ganassi Racing is 52 points behind. Takuma Sato, the former F1 driver from Japan and driving for Rahal, is 61 points behind. Will Power, 84 points behind the 2014 champion. Ryan Hunter-Reay, the 2012 champ, sits in 7th, 97 points back. James Hinchcliffe, Graham Rahal, and former kart champion Sebastian Bourdais is your top 10 in points.
And if you want to know where Circuit of the Americas winner Colton Herta is in the standings, he's 15th. He had back-to-back 12th place finishers at Detroit.
One
His
driver-
first time he finished a race sent his win at Circuit of the Americas.
He finished both races.
Yeah, which
one,
at this point, that's what this team needs.
one driver that kind of surprised me after Detroit was Marcus Ericsson, former F1 driver. Did pretty good his last season with Alfa Romeo Sauber. The Swede has really improved ever since the beginning of the season with Schmidt Peterson, and with that second, has proved he can contend for wins at these road courses.
Absolutely. You know,
Oh.
Grand Prix racing is his thing.
I was rooting for Marcus Ericsson at the end. I was like, come on, Ericsson, get by Dixon, get by Dixon. Find a way, find a way. It wasn't going to happen because, guy who's never been to Detroit versus the 5-time champion. You already know who's going to win, but I was hoping and praying.
I mean, his F1 stats of 97 races total from 2014 to 2018, 0 podiums.
Again, he's always driven for the worst team, minus 2018.
Yeah, barely any points finishes. And now you look at Marcus Ericsson in the IndyCar series. He has the best finish of second in his very first podium. So well done for him. And I think it's a great replacement for Robert Wickens. Robert was a little more seasoned, had better experience in various racing disciplines going into IndyCar. And, of course, that unfortunate incident at Pocono sidelined him from pretty much 2019 and unfortunately the foreseeable future. So they put Marcus Ericsson in. I was skeptical about it. Sure, his finishes haven't fared too well so far. Only one top 10 aside from the second place finish that happened at Detroit. At 20th, 15th, 7th, and 20th, 24th in the Indy Grand Prix, 23rd in the 500, 13th and 2nd. I want to see stability out of Marcus Ericsson. If that box gets checked, he should be a threat to win week in and week out.
Also, next race for IndyCar, we're at Texas. Mile-and-a-half track for 248 laps, and that's the second oval race. And it's different layout than Indy. Indy's a rectangle. This is an oval. It's high bank compared to Indy.
You're right. This will be Ericsson's second oval appearance.
Yep. That race is going to be on Saturday. Saturday night.
It's one of the last few races before a load of drivers will fly over to the famous Le Mans Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans, France, for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 87th edition, which we're about to start talking about pretty soon. Later on, after we mention the previews going into Michigan and Texas. Already we're in the talks for Texas Motor Speedway. Who are your picks for the IndyCar Texas 600K?
Who?
Dixon, straight up.
Dixon, he won last year. I think Scott Dixon's got what it takes.
I'm gonna go ahead.
I mean, listen, he's just seasoned, but go on, Armani.
I'm gonna go with Simon Pagenaud because last year he had a bad season. He went winless. The only Penske car to go winless last season. But one of his highlights was a podium finish at Texas. This year he's already done better. He's swept the month of May. So I think he'll continue that momentum, and I think we'll get a win at Texas, unless some wreck happens that takes him out.
Oh, for me, for some reason, I feel Will Power. Because he's run good at Texas before. So I feel like he has a good shot to win the race at Texas.
He is a 2-time winner at Texas. And I could say Scott Dixon, but I'm going with Sebastian Bourdais. I think he's going to get his first Texas win in his IndyCar career. It's going to be fun to watch. So just be on the lookout for the Frenchman. And I know this is going to translate into sports cars. If Ford's going to win Le Mans, it will help by Simon, the other Frenchman, Sebastian Bourdais. It would help with Sebastian Bourdais winning the
I'm Frenchman. So we all got different picks. All right.
And then next, we also have F1 at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Let's talk about that.
Ooh.
Actually, how about we talk about Truck Series race at Texas?
Oh, I forgot.
Oh yeah.
I just forgot about that series.
Yeah, we won't say much. I mean, it's a quick race, standalone, first standalone of the year for the trucks.
Greg Biffle's back in the 51.
Greg Biffle, 2000 Series champion.
For bias, I'm going with Greg Biffle.
You gonna hop on the Greg Biffle bandwagon? Listen,
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of
He
him.
was my favorite driver, so I have to go with him.
I grew up with him, winning all the time. I think Biffle is getting a good truck. If you remember when Kyle Busch won Texas earlier this year in the Truck Series, Greg Biffle did practice for him.
Yep.
One of the sessions. So I'm with you on that. Go Biff. Show him how it's done.
I'm gonna go with Stuart Friesen. The man's got to win a race. He's got to.
I see our menu tweeting already.
Yeah, I meant I didn't mean to tweet it. I meant to just like keep it saved. I keep it saved, and then when the race day comes, I just press send. So
I'm trying to think.
Ignore that. I just have it saved on draft.
I'm trying to think.
Pressed.
Ooh, this is a tough pick. Ooh. For me, for some reason, I'm going with Grant Enfinger. He's run good at mile and a halves. He's run really well at the mile and a half. He's won at Vegas last year. So I feel like Grant Enfinger could win the race. And
All right. So we got 2 for the Biff, one for Stuart Friesen, and one for the points leader.
Yep, Grant Enfinger.
All right. Now let's transition to Michigan.
The picks. Ooh.
Let me talk about a little bit about Michigan before we give our picks. Everyone's saying that Michigan might be a good race. I don't know. I mean, Auto Club, granted, they're different surfaces, but Auto Club and Michigan, they're the same length and they're the same shape. And Auto Club is abysmal. And I think Michigan has flatter turns. And we've seen with these flat tracks, the race has been god awful. So at least with Pocono, I'm pretty sure it's going to do the same in Indianapolis. So Michigan, I'm not holding my. I hope it's a good race, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Now we can give our pick, unless you guys got thoughts on what we might see from.
I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. If you remember his first appearance at Michigan, I'll pull up the stats right here. It was his second start at Michigan when going there in 2016. He led, if I see this correct, he led 31 laps to finish second. He finished second in his first 3 appearances and has led a total of 66 laps. He has not led a lap there since. However, no finishes outside the top 10. Chase Elliott is going to victory lane for the first time at this track.
All right.
I'm going with Kyle Larson. Just can't count him out at a track like this, especially Fontana too.
That's true. He did win 3 races in a row. I feel like a lot of people forgotten about that. Probably
that was impressive.
Probably because Kyle Larson's been on a slump as of recently.
I mean, he's got to stop the bleeding.
Yeah. Hopefully he can do that. Well, at least he's running better now. I mean, he won 2 stages, and he was doing all right at the All-Star race before what happened. So
there have been 10 races where Kyle Larson's finished outside the top 10. and he has an average finish of 18.3. And going into the season, he was supposed to be the lead driver for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah, no. My pick for Michigan. Oh, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, sorry. My pick for Michigan, I just have it saved. I'm gonna go with Joey Logano. He's won there before. He's really been the only one who's been able to contest with Kyle Busch, at least in the point standings. He's the only one who's really dethroned Kyle Busch in the point standings. So he and him have basically been neck and neck in terms of consistency. Hamlin's fallen off a cliff. Truex, he can't win a race without wrecking out of the next one. Keselowski, he's 50-50. Keselowski just doesn't have the finishes. So I think Logano is the only other driver. Yeah, he's the only other driver who's notched more than 10 top. He's only just notched 10 or more top 10s this season. Kyle Busch is the only one who has him ahead with 13. Logano has 10. I think the next closest is, I want to say Kevin Harvick with 9. Yeah, Kevin Harvick with 9 top 10s along with Denny Hamlin. So I think Logano's going to get it done.
For me, Kevin Harvick. Because Harvick won there the last time. And he's been running really good recently. So, except Pocono. But every other race, he's been doing good. Like, he almost got in the wreck at Charlotte where when Kurt Busch spun, he almost got in the crash there. But I feel like Kevin Harvick in the 4 car would finally get his first one of the season at Michigan.
All right. Something we didn't talk about. IMSA at Detroit.
Oh my God, I just forgot about IMSA. Oh my.
I don't know. I forgot about that because I thought that was the best race of the weekend.
And yeah, your video, that's what you did say. I do agree on that. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
That 84, Simpson, I think, something Simpson.
Yeah, JDC Miller Motorsports, 4th and 5th.
Steven Simpson. And
he was making moves. He was making some ballsy moves. I was like,
Steven Simpson, yeah.
Yeah, Steven Simpson, he was making some moves. And Dane Cameron, I think, isn't this Dane Cameron's first win? I mean, I know they won Mid-Ohio, but he wasn't the one who was crossing the line.
Yeah.
So I think this is technically his first win with Penske.
Technically, yes, that is true. I mean, listen, a win is a win, regardless of who sits in the car with you. So, listen, there's a lot left in him. I've seen Dane Cameron's career grow over time, and he's where he needs to be. So I think there's a lot of potential left for him, and you just can't count Juan Montoya. Juan Montoya is just one of those drivers where I look at him, and then the person I want to see next to him is Mario Andretti and Dan Gurney. Drivers that can win anything in any kind of car of any sort. I want to see Montoya race Le Mans. It's a shame he's not going to this year, but hopefully next year he'll get that chance. I'd love to see Penske make a program to go into Le Mans someday.
Here's the thing. There's 2 drivers in the world right now that can complete the Triple Crown. Fernando Alonso and Juan Pablo Montoya. If Juan Pablo Montoya wins Le Mans, he can get, let's say he would have won Le Mans this year, he can get the Triple Crown before Alonso.
Too bad Alonso struck out at Indy.
I actually like to see that as a storyline for I feel like that can elevate motorsports as a whole, not just specific series. You know, people talk about growing IndyCar, growing NASCAR, growing IMSA, growing F1. That actually be something interesting that could probably grow motorsports up as a whole. You can talk about which only 2 drivers in the world can complete the Triple Crown. Which one will get to it first? I feel like you could get more media exposure with that. At the same time, you'll elevate IndyCar with the Indy 500. You'll elevate sports car racing with Juan Pablo Montoya and IMSA, and you'll elevate the 24 Hours of Le Mans. They'll give it more of the significance. Not only, the prestige, but also which driver is going to complete the Triple Crown more. And think about it. Juan Pablo Montoya, we'll talk about how he used to be a NASCAR driver. then boom, you start to get NASCAR more elevated as well, and they'll talk about his
Oh
talent.
yeah, he really brought a different kind of fan base into NASCAR that we've never seen before. When he left F1 to try NASCAR, which was something no one has ever thought of, to stop chasing world champion Michael Schumacher and move to NASCAR, it was like crazy. I remember that. Like he was all in the headlines, and just like I want to see Montoya make another run in the Indy 500 too, and just win all the big races. Like there's just so much left in him.
I'd like to disagree in some ways on that because Juan Montoya is 43. His age is definitely getting to him. The only way I could see him winning again is if he actually gets a top ride when it comes to Le Mans, like Toyota with Alonso and Nakajima. That's the only time I could see like the Triple Crown for Montoya happening.
Well, isn't Alonso like in his late 30s? I think he's, what is he, like 39 or something?
Fernando Alonso is 37, turning 38 this July.
Oh, he's a little younger than I thought. Okay, never mind. But yeah, Montoya needs to be in the top ride, which sorry about all the noise, technical difficulties. But like Montoya, yeah, he's got to be in the top ride. But I don't see why a top team wouldn't pick him. He's got Monaco. He's got an Indy 500. He's a kart champion. He's a kart champion, I think, from like 2000, I think. And he's basically good in motorsports all around. So I don't see why a top team like Toyota would say, "Hey, let's put him in one of our cars for Le Mans. He could probably get it done." I don't know what's with the FIA and just having series where only the top teams are able to where only like one or two or at most three teams are able to win. I think the only other series with the FIA that actually doesn't have that is Formula E, or it shows it calls B.
I wanted to throw in there the reason why Toyota is having such a one-sided performance in the WEC is really because all the other factory Le Mans prototypes, the LMP ones, have pulled out. We saw Audi leave in 2016, Porsche after 2017 take off. Years back, we had Peugeot leave, and while it was growing to become just a war zone of competition, that's been taken so seriously between the big brands, is now left with Toyota and privateers.
Wow.
Privateers are the more cheaper, affordable LMP ones, if that makes any sense. And for this year's Le Mans 24 Hours, there's only 8 LMP ones with 5 teams, 2 of them coming with only 1 entry.
Like, I'm just looking, like, about like, the big teams. Like, you see what Toyota's doing by themselves. Like, you see them pulling away. The only time they're not leading is when they made a pit stop, and somehow LMP2 took the lead for, like a lap, and then they lost the lead again.
Well, they added horsepower. You know, it's just the given. And I'm not trying to denounce the other teams in the LMP1 entries, but it's just regulations have set Toyota Gazoo Racing up the galaxy compared to everyone else. And I feel bad. I really do. I would love to see more competition in that class and less inequality of balance of performance. And hopefully one of these days we'll see a resurgence in the class, whether they make over the regulations or we see a resurgence in factory LMPs, that we could see the P1 class go up to full song again. Let's talk about some of the other classes in Le Mans, since we're in this topic right now. And by the way, it's next weekend, not this weekend, but next week is the 24 hours of Le Mans. There's 20 LMP2 entries. I'm reading off the Wikipedia list. And this is the only class where there are two different choice of tires. And how ironic it is, 10 Dunlop entrants and 10 Michelin tires have entered as well. So half and half, it's going to be a little bit of a tire war here in this class. And I think it's going to be interesting for sure. But my eyes in the LMP2 class has been on Jackie Chan Racing.
Sorry, yeah, I had to use the bathroom. So
Yeah, we were talking about Le Mans.
My eyes, I'm not that big into sports car racing. I think the most attention I've been to sports car racing minus Daytona is this week at Detroit. So, I think Toyota's going to win. They've been dominant all season long. And for the other classes, I don't really know, to be honest. I would say this, whatever class Chip Ganassi's in, they're probably going to win it.
They have 4 entries. And I'll name you what we got. 67 car, you have Billy Johnson, Stefan Milke, and Olivier Pla. 60, actually, that was the 66. The 67, you have Jonathan Barmarito, Andy Brielle, Harry Tinknell. And then the 68, there's Sebastian Bourdais, Joey Hand, and Dirk Mueller. 69 car, you have Ryan Briscoe, Scott Dixon, Richard Westbrook. It's hard to pick out of those 4 who will be the best Ganassi car of them all.
Yeah, that's
but on the flip side of things, last year's winner in the GT Pro class, Porsche GT team has 4 entries as well, with the 91, 92, 93, and 94. And I'll name you some lists right here. And I think it's going to be these 2 cars. Well, the first one you have Gianmaria Bruni, Richard Leitz, Frederick Makiewicz, Michael Christensen, Kevin Estre, and Lawrence Vanthor, Earl Bamber, Patrick Pilet, Nick Taney, Matthew Geminet, Sven Mueller, and Dennis Olsen. Half of those drivers are going to be in the same team for the 24 hours of Nürburgring for Porsche, literally a week later. And the funny thing is, if they're going to win at Nürburgring, they better have some high self-esteem coming out of Le Mans. What do you say about that?
But that's like, I don't know. My mom is like unpredictable. The long range. So we could have people with failures, like blown engine, a mechanical failure, something like that, or crash, like racing cars crash at Le Mans before. So it's unpredictable. It's like the Rolex 24. It's 24 hours.
You're right. It is 24 hours, and anything could happen in a span of the clock going around twice. I would love to see Porsche win back-to-back Le Mans 24 hours. However, if Corvette needs to improve their team, they've got to start now. They've been pretty weak in IMSA this year, and they're coming in with 2 entries, the 63 and 64, with veterans such as Garcia, Magnussen, Rockefeller, Fassler, Gavin, and Milner. What do you guys think about Corvette?
Oh, I don't know. But
They need to improve. That's all I'm saying. Le Mans, I don't know about this. I don't know how successful they are in Le Mans, but I feel like that'd be a good place for them to improve.
also, like, I don't know about them at Le Mans. I don't know if they've done. Have they ever won Le Mans? The Corvette racing. Has Corvette racing ever won at Le Mans?
Oh, absolutely. They've won before, and
I just want to say before you move on, NCAL had to leave, so just want to thank him for being on the podcast first time. So now let's get back to Le Mans. We were talking about.
They've won 8 times at Le Mans. Their
Okay.
first coming in 2001. Their last coming in 2015. I honestly feel like they got a long way to go. There's no reason why they shouldn't win. However, their drivers don't seem to be in the primes. They're mostly in their 40s.
Like LMP2, you know, we have a couple LMP2 cars also in the entry list.
We have 20 of most of all classes.
But I don't know about who's going to win an LMP2 class.
It's a tough one. It's going to be close. What about Dragon Speed? Remember, they won Daytona this year, despite having a 4-car class that was pretty much over with. Excuse Armani's pencil sharpener in the background.
Yeah, that's not my pencil sharpener. That's my computer. I don't know why it's doing that.
I think it's speaking.
I thought that was a vacuum cleaner.
I don't know why it's doing that. I didn't even know. I didn't know if it was coming on the microphone. Like, I'm like, okay, why is my computer doing this? I'm just gonna hope and pray that it didn't make the noise. I hope and pray it didn't go through. I can see.
But we're going back to.
I'll just mute the mic whenever I hear the noise. So, yeah, go back.
We'll talk a lot more about this next week. You know, when it's Le Mans week, but.
Yeah, we're still a long way away from that.
Testing happened over the weekend, though.
I just thought about, oh, gosh. We still have F1 to cover. We have F1.
Lewis Hamilton's going to win. Probably Mercedes. Both Mercedes are going to be on the podium. There's your F1 coverage.
Oh, we also have a Grand Prix to complete.
Well.
All right, in all seriousness. All right, so let's cover F1. Canadian Grand Prix.
What do you guys expect?
Yeah.
I've had all my hopes and dreams of Mercedes now winning all the races this season.
Hey, good luck with that.
So,
one thing I hope they don't screw Leclerc again. That's what I don't want to see.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna screw Leclerc. Like,
if I see him qualify in the back and wreck out like at Monaco, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, I think they may need a talking to on that one. But if we look at Montreal last year, round 7 of the 2018 F1 season, well, we had Lewis Hamilton 5th of only 6 cars that finished on the lead lap. It was Vettel who had a perfect race. He led 68 of the 68 laps given. And I think we all know what happened on lap 1.
Oh, God. Yeah, that one.
Yep. Lance Stroll, Brendan Hartley did not last a lap. And
Brendan Hartley tried to do what Lightning McQueen did in the first cars.
Well,
if you go on my Instagram at Velocity87_ and you scroll down, I actually have that as a meme.
I saw that. It's funny.
Hey, by the way, about Brendan Hartley, in that whole season, he only got 4 points too, so that didn't go too well.
Stick to endurance.
Albon and Kvyat are better at Toro Rosso than. Holy crap! Hartley was just not there. Like you saw, he got 10th, 10th, 9th. That's where he got his 4 points from. That's all he did.
I think also for the Canadian Grand Prix, you gotta realize that this track has also produced some exciting races, such as 2011, when Jenson Button was just everywhere. It was kind of controversial, but Jenson was just everywhere.
Also, wait, about the Canadian Grand Prix, it's been since, like the races, they have been exciting. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know how exciting it's going to be.
I mean, the season hasn't been that exciting either. So
Yeah, that's true. It's been close at Monaco, but Verstappen penalized for hitting Bottas in the pit, so That's fair. And yeah, that was.
Ferrari has a pretty big fan base in Canada.
In Canada, there's only one Canadian driver, Lance Stroll, but we know that Racing Point is not going to get a win. Their cars are not the fastest, but I know probably we know where we know Williams is going to qualify last overall. There's so, hey,
You're yeah,
some,
wet.
Russell's going to be 19. Kubica's going to be 20. That's always.
Well, what if I told you Kubica's only F1 win came here in 2008, driving for BMW Sauber?
Well, Sauber's a little bit more better than Williams now.
Right, but even then, Williams won with Ralf Schumacher. Last time that happened was 2001.
Like, you see how slow Williams is off the pace? They're way off the pace out of the. Like, they're way off the pace of other teams. You see how slow they are.
Yeah,
let's just say Williams, for constructors, they have 7 wins, but I don't think they're going to have anywhere near the abilities that they have this year.
And also about Williams, the only way you could win in a Williams car on F120, on any F1 game, you put very easy mode. That's the only way you can win in a Williams.
But Justin, I apologize. This is not a video game. This is called real life racing.
I'm just saying that's the only way.
No, Justin, you're being too. Justin, please. The only way you're going to score points with Williams is if you go on F1 2018, you put it on medium.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're WinVal, where you win a championship with Williams in just your second season.
Yeah, that's
WinVal is something else, man.
Let's give our picks for the Canadian Grand Prix.
For some reason, for me, it's Lewis Hamilton.
He won 3 in a row before Sebastian Vettel stopped that in 2018. And for Lewis Hamilton, he has 6 wins at the Canadian Grand Prix. 3 coming for McLaren, 3 coming from Mercedes. I see a 4th one on the way. Not so fast. It's Sebastian Vettel going 2 in a row.
You got me there. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, he's picking them. And then he's like, stop right there. I'm like,
Psych.
All right. And I'm gonna go with for any of you on Twitter, Twitter person Brooke Curran. I think she'll appreciate this. I'm gonna go with Valtteri Bottas. He's been the second best driver all season long. Obviously, he's the only other driver with wins besides Lewis Hamilton. But I think he'll get it done in Canada. It just seems like a track that suits it. I don't know. When I think of this race, I think of Valtteri Bottas winning, even though he's never won in Canada. So I think he'll get it done this week.
And any underdogs?
Underdogs, I'll make a bold prediction. Antonio Giovinazzi will finally score points.
For me, for points, for some reason I feel like both Haas cars will get points. For some reason, I feel like Grosjean will finish 10, get 1 point. Magnussen would finish 8 and get 3 points. For some reason,
I feel like Magnussen's going to be the better driver.
Yeah,
He's always a better driver. I think there's only one season where Magnussen was behind.
Just Grosjean's just not stable.
Well, is he better than Gutierrez? I remember Gutierrez.
Gutierrez wasn't that pretty good either.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Some drivers have a knack for chatting with the tire barriers.
Please, we all know that the greatest F1 driver of all time is Pastor Mandanella.
Oh my goodness.
Respect the pastor.
Pastor Maldonado is not the best F1 driver in the world.
You're right. He is the best driver in the world.
No, Julian Palmer's better.
You're right. How can I forget?
Julian Palmer, oh my goodness. I remember when he drove for Renault.
Here, Mike, we know the best F1 driver is Quinn Hoff.
No, no. Lance Stroll's winning the championship next year.
There you go. Now you're making predictions.
Lance Stroll is the 2020 F1 champion.
Lance Stroll, is he going to get points at home?
Maybe. It depends if
If he can complete the first lap.
or if another Toro Rosso doesn't come in flying in there.
No
I
worry.
don't want to see Kvyat flying in there like a torpedo.
Like Lightning McQueen did himself.
Ka-choo.
Or Herbie did in Fully Loaded.
Now that we're done talking about the race weekend and next race weekend, here is the comedic part of the Bloody O-Line podcast. All right. Is there anything else to talk about?
Well, the Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues Game 4 is about to begin. It's not racing related, but it's enough to gain attention for everyone around here. I'm a huge Bruins fan. Let's go, Boston. We killed them 7-2 in Game 3, and Jordan Binnington got pulled for Jake Allen late in Game 3.
Who's the one in the chat who doesn't like the Bruins?
The Bruins, this guy.
Well then. All right, so I think we talked about everything race related and your little and we got our hockey in there. So, all right, so yeah, I think that's everything that we're going to talk about. We'll catch you guys next week. I actually got a special little video coming up, hopefully by this week, if not next week. It's going to be about the young guns of motorsport. I'll just leave it at that. Take predictions as you see. Hopefully should be up by this week. But until then,
Alrighty, guys.
Thanks for the Bloody O-Line podcast.
I'm gonna take off and get ready for the Bruins game.
All right. So this is Velocity. Like I said, follow us on Twitter at WR Media Group. Follow me on Twitter at 87 Velocity. Follow me on Instagram at Velocity87_. You guys want to put in your social media?
Alrighty. Go Bruins. See you next week.
And that's where we'll leave.